morning, students. Welcome to 2019 conduct classes or presentation for Agricultural Education 2, which is BES HE31. And my name is Mr. Abraham Sholongera, and I am your tutor for this specific module. So in case you might have a question regarding this module, feel free to contact me. My mobile number is there displayed on the screen, which is 081 44 38 360, or you may just send me an email at septembervictory@gmail.com. Once again, I would like to say again, welcome to Agricultural Education 2. I wish you all to be hardworking, dedicated, and self-driven students in this course or module. This presentation will give you some general guidelines that I want everyone to keep in mind when preparing for the 2019 assignments or examinations. I will discuss some of the content of your study guide in order to help you prepare for the coming assignment and exams. I would like you to have a good idea what the subject is about as you are preparing for your assignments and exams. Please note that I will not give attention to the whole content, so should you have any question, please contact me for help. As you know that this module have a lot of topics, or it covers a lot, and the time that I have with you right now is limited. So, and I will not be able to give the whole attention to the whole content. Therefore, if you have got any other question, please you may ask me after this presentation. I urge you again to use the study guide so that you prepare for your assignments and examination. So let us now begin to look at some of the important aspects of this module, looking at the analysis of the food production and economic role of agriculture in Namibia. So when we are looking at this aspect, we want us to look at various ways people can earn money through agricultural production. So as we know that there are different ways, and there are also many ways that people can earn money through agricultural production. Now, the first way or another way is producing crops like mahangu or even maize, such that the quantities are more than they need for their own consumption from one harvest to the next. Then the farmers can also now sell their surplus or the grain. The moment they know that they have produced more than enough for consumption, then the surplus that is remaining, they can sell that for profit. And also producing more milk than they need for family consumptions, and hence also now they can also sell surplus from their milk. Also producing more animals, such as that they can sell some to cattle auctioneers or even to butcheries or abattoirs. They can also make money by producing a lot of eggs, which they can sell. Now this is now from poultry. They can also produce more money or make more money by producing pelt or fiber, more hair and hides to sell. This is now from the animal production. Farmers or people can also make money through selling manure to other farmers, or maybe selling fertilizers to other farmers, even also selling animal feeds. So there are so many ways or agricultural activities whereby people can earn money or make a business from agriculture. As we know that agriculture is a business or is an entrepreneurship field or on its own. Then also things. We can also sell agricultural machinery, or for example agricultural equipments like maybe tractors or plowers, or also selling agricultural chemicals, for example fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides. So there are many business opportunities with agriculture. So there are just many, and even in general as a student you can also mention them. So different ways or that people can earn money from agricultural production or activities. Now, on addition to this aspect, I also want you to go in your study guide so that you can also read and understand the influence of consumers on agricultural productions. As we know that also agricultural production have an influence on consumers. So I want you to go in details and analyze deep the influence of consumers on agricultural production. And I also want you to understand the various ways in which agriculture provides food for the people and animals. Another aspect that I want us to look at this morning is now, and I see it as important, is now the aspect of production in agriculture. So looking at this point, let us also look at the importance of servicing tools and machinery in agriculture. So making sure your farm's tools and machineries are updated and functioning at peak level should be every farmer's top priority. So like every farmers must make sure that their tools and machineries are well updated and they are properly functioning. So this will help to also improve your agricultural production. Now, out of date and poorly maintained equipment is likely to hinder and not facilitate maximum farm productivities. So meaning that farm equipments or tools, they must be properly maintained, and also they must be well up to date. They must not be outdated. So if your equipments are not properly maintained or they are outdated, and then the agricultural productivity is not going to run smoothly. Then also now the cost of maintaining farm implements can also sometimes increase operational cost. Failure or deliberately avoiding maintaining your farm equipment, thinking you are saving money, is not wise. So as a farmer, for example, or this is a good note also to the farmers, that because sometimes farmers, they don't want to spend a lot of money, or maybe they think if they keep on servicing these tools or maintaining these tools, sometimes they think it's costly, or it costs them some few money, or they don't want to spend extra money on servicing the equipments. But it is not wise, because sometimes if you let your equipments or your tools to totally wear out or turn out, it will cost you, or it will lead you to buy a new equipment, and it will cost you a lot of money instead of you having been maintaining or servicing the tools. That will cost you much less than having to replace it or than having to buy a new equipment. So that's why servicing farm tools and machinery is so important, and therefore it's a must for a farmer to pay more attention on servicing their farm tools and also their machinery. Farm equipment must be cleaned and they must be dried after use to avoid corrosions. And you know that corrosions make your farm equipment or tools to appear like they are old. And also corrosions can also, if it's not being taken care of, or corrosion can also lead to equipment being to be weared out, or even to get old, or even to be torn very fast. So if equipment is always dirty, farmers workers will not find any reason to use them properly. So if you also want your farm workers also to handle your equipment properly, so you must keep them neat, you must keep them clean, because if the equipment is just that it's dirty or it's not in good condition, even the person that is using it will not use it properly. So they will not treat it as a special equipment. But with the moment the equipment is well taken care of, or it's clean or it's neat, even the person that is using the equipment will be humble to use it properly. So rough looking equipment will always be used roughly, as I said earlier, because if the equipment is rough, so then the farm workers or the person will also use them roughly. And clean equipment is normally used gently by a farm workers. So store equipment away from rain and sun to prevent rusting. So make sure that your equipment are kept away from the rain and also from the sun. Otherwise they will start to rust. So on top of these issues or these topics that I have been discussing with you on the servicing tools and machinery, I also want you to go back to your note and also read and understand the economic importance of keeping production records. So there are two major records to be kept on the farm, and these two major records are in your study guides. Mostly they are livestock records and also the crop records. So I want you to go on your note and study more details and understand these records, and also understand the values of record keeping or the farm. And I also want you to read and understand the safety measures in using different hand tools and machinery in agriculture. So as we know that in agriculture production or even on the farm, so there are different types of hand tools and machineries that are being used, and most of them are not, if not used, like if the agricultural machineries or tools are not properly used, they can be dangerous. So therefore I want you to go to your note and go in details and read more on the safety measures in using different hand tools and machinery in agriculture. So let us also quickly look at the aspect of vegetable production and marketing. How to prepare seed beds for planting or sowing vegetables. So before preparing for your seed beds or for planting or sowing your vegetables, the first thing that you should take note of is your soil should always be moist, because I don't think you'll be able to plant or to sow a seed or to plant vegetables on the soil which is just dry and hot. So it will not be suitable, as this might even be, it might kill the seed, or it might also kill the roots of the plant, of the vegetable or the plants. Make sure also that the fertilization of vegetable seedlings can be done where necessary. The farmer should use appropriate fertilizer supplied by a reputable garden centers. So because you also, when you are preparing for the seed bed or for sowing vegetables, make sure that you use proper and correct fertilizers for the plants. And because also the amount of fertilizers that need to be applied also need to be controlled, because if you use too much of fertilizers or large amount or quantities of fertilizers, this might also burn the crops or your seed or even your vegetables. Now before transplanting, the plants should be put outside during the day and back in the nursery during the night for 1 to 2 weeks, so that they may become strong and remain viable in their new environment when transplanted. This is called now hardening off. Now the receiving site should be prepared, also be deeply and roughly turning over the soil, digging to the depth of the spade, and breaking up with a fork any hard clods. That means now it's a preparation of the soil where the plants are going to be transplanted. So make sure that you break even those stones, and making sure that also the fertilizer or the manure is properly mixed with the soil. So this is how you are preparing now your soil deeply for planting or for sowing your vegetables. So it is also advisable to remember the wise gardener's maxim, like sow dry and then plant wet. So use a garden line to neatly line up the seedlings. So it is nice to work in an environment that has some order. When necessary, reduce the population density by thinning. You know, sometimes it's if there is too much vegetables on one positions or at one spot, so the plants, when they grow, they might not breathe properly, or they even also compete for nutrients and also for water, or for absorbing the water. Therefore, it's also good if you also thin the plant so that you leave enough plants so that they can be able to breathe. So as I say, thinning also involves removing some plants just to reduce that overcrowdings. And also you can also remove the weak looking plants. Mostly when you are thinning, the most important part that you should focus on the weak looking plants. Or if they are all healthy, then you can just transfer them to another free area within the garden. So when you are thinning, in most cases, you focus on the plants that are weak. You remove the weak one, and then you leave the good looking or the healthy plants. But if they are all healthy, then you can now transfer some other healthy plants to another site, which is also freely and available for planting or for transplanting or for accommodating new vegetables or plants. I also want you to understand methods that can be used in Namibia to save water on vegetables. So there are different methods that can be used in order to save water on a vegetable. So I want you to go in your study guides and pay attention on this type of methods. So let us also look at the aspects of vegetable productions and marketing. So looking at the factors that need to be considered when deciding to whom the vegetable should be sold. So in the agricultural business or agricultural productions, so as a farmer or an agriculturalist, so there are factors that need to be considered when deciding to whom or where the vegetable should be sold. And one of the factors that you need to take in consideration is the distance to the market. So I'm going to just say little things about these factors, but these factors, they are more highlighted or more explained in details in your study guides. So I go to your study guides and study more in details about these factors. As I say, one of the factors that must be considered is distance to the market. So meaning that the longer the distance, then also the higher the price which the customer or may pay, because this may also depend, maybe if the distance is too long, or then the customer might pay higher price, and it might be a challenge that the consumer or the customers might not be able to afford the price due to the distance. So as a farmer, you must consider the distance to the market where you are selling your products or your vegetables. Then also the infrastructure is another factor to be well considered. Now, Reliable roads and communication systems are very important, as they also make access to markets and market informations. So the infrastructures, things like roads or even these communication systems, so they must be considered, because so infrastructures, or like for example roads, they are the ones that play a major role on access to the market. So if you have got correct information or safe roads, if the roads are also safe to transport your products to the customers, then it will be easy for the farmers to run or to do business very well. Then you also have now the size of orders, meaning that if a farmer gets big orders and the transport costs are reasonable, then it will be easy to decide and fulfill the orders. So then we also have the contracts, and that the farmers must enter into or must consider short and long term and short and medium term contracts, but the contracts must not be too long, as this might not it might affect the cost. Because if the contract is too short, then this will be easier for the farmer to run their business without having to cost or to spend a lot of money or on the marketing of their vegetables. Then also another factor to be considered here is the local and international markets. So for example, the export may be necessary for big farmers if there are no trade barriers between neighboring countries. So then the farmers can also now market their products to other countries instead of marketing them on the local in the local country or local, since if there is no barrier or trade barriers between countries, then the farmer can take an advantage to sell their products to other countries. Then you also have cooperative market. It's another factor to be considered, and also very easy for the farmers to market their products if the farmers come together and form a cooperative, for example, maybe a marketing associations, where they can sell their products together and reduce the cost of transport and also marketing their products. But if they are together as a group or as an associations, so it will be easy for them because they will share the cost of transport, or even they share the cost of marketing the product. And also another factor to be considered is the value addition to the product. So for example, this will make more sense to the farmers to add value to the product. For example, if you have to process your product, maybe your vegetables in a processed product, for example, you can do maybe tomato sauce, or maybe dried vegetables, or packaged products. So this will be also more easy and more convenient for transportation, or it also even reduce also the spoilage of the product when you add more value to the vegetables or the raw materials that you are producing on your farms. And then also organic certification. It's another factor that if the farmers grow organic vegetables and there is a market for it, then they can get certification on those organic products, and they can also begin to benefit from it, since the consumers of organic products, they will be willing to buy it at any price. So farmers can take an advantage of that. So as I said, there's just few things that I have shared more on these vectors, but you can go to your study guides and study more deep or more details on these factors that are to be considered when deciding to whom the vegetable should be sold. And I also want you to understand how to market agricultural products and also the marketing channels used by agricultural producers. So these are in your study guides. So go in your study guides, read and understand these aspects very well. I also want you to understand possible ways of controlling pests and disease and how to take care of plant and vegetables in your study guides. Or you can use any other study materials that have relevant information based on controlling pests and disease and also how to take care of plant and vegetable. What matters is for you to have a general understanding. You do not really necessarily need to memorize everything, but have a general understanding of the subject, maybe on how to control pest and disease and also how to take care of plant and vegetables. So I want us also to look at a very crucial topic in this module, which is the aspect of vegetable production and also marketing, mostly looking at how to take care of plants and vegetables. As I have also said, this one you can go in your notes and read more about this, but I just want to share a few things on how to take care of plants and vegetables or any other plant for that matters. It requires a lot of attention. So this is in terms of the amount of time and also care. So mostly the general outlook of the garden is very important because your garden must always appeal to the people, or it must look attractive to the people. And another issue when you're taking care of your plants is also the staking of vegetables. So staking, mostly I want us to look more to pay attention on this crucial agricultural practice in this crucial practice in agriculture, which is now the staking of vegetables. Mostly staking is used or is done in order to support or for the support or to grow for support the plants or the vegetable to grow to their potentials. So staking also helps the plant to grow tall and also to be strong, and also the plant will also grow healthy, and it's also a guarantee for a good harvest. You know, when you are talking about staking is when you erect a wooden stick next to your vegetables just to support the plant so that the plant can grow to its full potential, as I have said it earlier. As you can see on that pictures there on your right side in your notes, I have just put that picture so that you can know what staking is. For example, on the staking of tomatoes. So that help your plants or even your vegetables to grow taller or even to their full potential so that they cannot be grow attaching on the grounds, and also to avoid some diseases or pests or insects that also transmitted or transferred from the ground. So therefore that's why staking is very important for this in this case. And then another aspect of taking care of vegetable is weeding. So we have already touched about weedings in the previous modules, because I believe before you come to this module you have already completed agricultural education 1. Before you come to agricultural education 2, you already understand what weeding is. Weeding is a removal of unwanted plant from the desired plant. So weeding is very important, so as it also improve the plant growth by removing the plants that are not desirable or plants that are harmful to your vegetables. And then you have got also mulches or mulching. This improves the soil texture and it also keep weeds under controls. So when you do mulching, so weeds will not be able to grow easily on your gardens or in your field. So therefore it's also improve your soil texture. Then you also have watering a vegetable garden, and then this must be done at the right or at the right time, and also in the right weather, so that, because like when you are watering your garden, so make sure that you are doing it at the right time, so, and also in the right, under good weather condition. And also preparing a vegetable garden for winter, as we know that also some vegetables are very susceptible to winter, and then they may also, for example, they might winter frost. For example, tomatoes are very sensitive, and they might end up also chilling or freeze during winter. So proper protection against chilling should be put in place over time. So that's how you prepare your vegetable gardens for winter, in order to prevent chilling or drying or freezing of your vegetables or crops. Then you also have what we call controlling vegetable garden pests. So as you know, also there are measures to be put in place in order to control. As we all know that pests and disease, they destroy the income by lowering the yield or the harvest. So it's good to put also control measures in place on how to control your pests and diseases from in your garden. Then also vegetable garden growing tips. Mostly the main tips of vegetable gardening is like provide basic needs, which are, for example, make sure that there is enough light in your garden, and make sure that there is sufficient water, and there's also the soil is also good for the crops, and also ensure appropriate weather conditions. As I've said it already, that the weather condition is very good for your gardens, especially when it comes to watering. Make sure that the weather condition is appropriate. Now, I also want you to read and understand the concept of record keeping on the farm. Let us also look at the aspect of poultry production and marketing. So as we know that in this unity or this unit or module covers a lot of aspects, not only on vegetables, but it also covers the aspect of poultry production and marketing. So we are going to look at the whole concepts of poultry production and how to market poultry. So understanding now the origins of poultry farming, how chickens were brought to Africa and Namibia. So this whole concept, I want you to study it in your study guides in more details. As we know that there's also this multi-purpose indigenous chickens, and then also we have the adapted cross, and also the commercial breeds, either for eggs or meat. So the productions of poultry are in different categories. Now we also have different types of poultry breeds in terms of adaptability and production. Now that's just now the comparisons. So you need to understand now this, how to adapt, to compare now different types of poultry breeds in terms of adaptability and production. Now, one thing that you also need to understand is chickens need good and safe housing, so that it is easy to control temperature, especially in brooding area. And then also, temperature fluctuations are detrimental to the survivals of the chickens. Good clean housing help to control disease and parasites. remember that taking care of poultry is not easy. It really requires close attentions or more attentions, because otherwise, because poultry are more sensitive to diseases and parasites. Therefore, now good housings block strong winds and dust from affecting the chickens. Good housing also keep chickens safe from predators like snakes, dogs, and other birds of the atmosphere. And also good housing keeps chickens safe from thieves. Normally, well-constructed poultry houses are easy to clean, and this is helpful in preventing diseases. That's why when you are constructing a chicken house or a poultry house, you need to take in consideration that that house is well constructed in such a way that it will be easy to clean, and also it's also accessible or to move around, and this will also help in prevention of diseases and also in taking care of or to maintain the poultry. I also want you to understand the importance of benefits of keeping poultry on your farms. So there are many reasons of keeping poultry on the farm. For example, traditionally or like in the rural areas, so poultry or chickens play a major role, or they've got more benefits to keep them on the farms. And this one I want you to read it in your study guide and understand it in more details. And as I said also earlier, do not forget to read and understand the different types of poultry breeds. We have different types of poultry breeds. As I said, we've got multi-purpose and also adapted crossbreed, commercial breeds. And then I want you to compare them in terms of adaptability and production. Now, the aspect of poultry production and marketing. Common poultry diseases. So remember that, or I want you to take note that there are common poultry diseases. So, and this one are Newcastle disease, highly pathogenic or avian influenza disease, infectious basal disease. We have got also fowl pox and fowl coryza. So these are the common poultry diseases or diseases that affect poultry, and they need to be well controlled. So there are many other diseases that affect poultry, but that you can also go in your study guides or other study materials that you can also study in order to understand how this type of disease can affect poultry production. Now also common parasites. We have got fleas, then we've got also mites, we've got also ticks, we've got also ringworms. These are common parasites that can also attack poultry, and they have a negative impact on the poultry productions once they attack the poultry. So this one, they bring down the poultry production, or even they can also weaken or lead to poor poultry products or meat, or it totally affect the whole production of poultry activities. Then you also have predators that are also affect poultry, or that are also a threat to poultry. Predators like dogs, cats, snakes, and also jackals. That's why it's very important that your poultry or chickens are well kept, safe in a very good house or poultry house, in order to prevent this type of predators to attack your poultry. Now, coming on to how to prepare for your exam during the year 2019. So I want you to ensure that you have all the study materials or the resources required for these modules. Make sure that you have the right modules. and also like the right code on the module that you are studying. You have the necessary materials. If you are not sure that the module that you have is not the one or is not right, please feel free to contact me and just verify and confirm that you have the right resources to prepare for your examination. I also want you to ensure that you spend enough time reading the prescribed materials and to follow the instructions carefully so as to ensure that you do not waste unnecessary time and effort. So also take time to first acquaint yourself with the content of the module by reading through the material carefully. So do not just rush. You have the whole year to prepare for your examination, or you have still enough time or enough month to prepare for your examination. So I want you to take time, enough time for yourself, so with the contents and also the module by reading through the material and also understand all the aspects of your modules as we have discussed them previously. So also make sure you understand the verbs used very well. I want you to pay attention to this issue. So if you go in your study guide, there are verbs that are, or all the verbs that are mostly used when in your examination or in your assignments, those verbs are well explained. For example, verbs like define, clarify, discuss, or describes. They are well explained in your study guides. For example, if you are asked to define something, you need to define it, and you must be specific with your definition. So be straightforward and be specific. Don't give a lot of sentence. So understand also the issue when you are asked to clarify, or when you are asked to discuss, or when you are asked to describe. So it's just for you to know how to approach this question and how to answer it accordingly. So I also want you to always pay attention to the marks allocated to each question, and you need to answer accordingly. Sorry. So before answer the questions, pay attention to the marks that's allocated on your question, especially in the brackets. So if the question says is 10 marks, so answer according to that 10 marks. So meaning that you must learn to be brief and to be straightforward to the questions. So I also want you to take note of one thing here. So do not be intimidated by the space provided to answer or to provide your answer on the answer sheet. Because now most of the students, they complain, or you look at the space, maybe the question is asking, or the mark allocated on the question is 10 mark. Now maybe the space provided to answer for that question is a 1.5 pages. That does not necessarily mean that you need to complete all the lines provided for you to answer the questions. So you answer according to the mark allocated, and you answer according to how you have prepared for the questions, or how you understand the questions. The reason of providing extra space for answering or for providing your answer is because sometimes we are different. We have different handwritings. Some people write in big letters and some people write with small letters. So it's therefore important to provide enough space for everybody, or even maybe if you make an error in answering your questions, you still have enough space to answer or to provide your answer on that space. So therefore, do not be intimidated by the space or by the lines provided for you to answer your questions. And also, never leave any question unanswered, or you are leaving the question blank. I always tell students there is no a wrong or right answer. the answer that you have in your opinions might be the correct one. So it's not necessary for you to memorize, but answer according to how you understand the questions. Just put that answer that is in your mind, just put it there on the answer sheet. Because sometimes if you just leave the question blank, it will be difficult for us tutors or teachers even to help you to get an extra mark that can make you to pass. Because sometimes you try all the level best to help you to pass as a student, but there's just nowhere to get an extra mark for you, because most of the questions you have just left them blank without answering them. So kindly try all your level best and put something on the question. So I urge you to revise your assignments and ask your tutor if you have any problem. So make sure that you pay attention to your assignments, because your assignments play a major role, because your assignments is where you will need to get your CA mark, and that CA mark will be added together with your exam mark. So make sure that you have a higher, or you score higher mark from your assignments, because this will help you that in case you did not perform better in your exam, at least your assignments or the marks that you obtain from your assignments, they can back you up. So pay attention on your assignments and ask your tutor if you have any problems. I said I have already given you my contact details, and you can feel free to contact me in case you don't understand anything as you are going through your assignment or your study guide. So last but not least, I want to say please enjoy this module and good luck with the assessment through assignments and examinations, which is part and parcel of your studies. And as I always say, that perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did. So students, we have come to an end of our conduct class for these modules in 2019. And as I have already said, that if you have got any question or any problem with your assignment or with your module or with your study, please, I am available. Feel free to contact me. I will be there to help you. So thank you very much, and all the best for your upcoming exam.